Welcome into the Braves Vision YouTube channel for our series review of Bradley and Illinois State, the baseball rivalry on 74. Redbirds would take 2 of 3 in this series, with the Braves winning the finale 7-2 on Sunday. I'm joined by Larry Larson, Matt Harrington, and fellas, when we kind of look at this series, it started out as a pitcher's duel Friday, Saturday and Sunday, a little one-sided, with each game going one way.
Yeah, on Friday we saw a lot of what we have seen from Mitch Jansen all year. Just great ball, lots of strikeouts. Unfortunately gave up the 1 run, and that came back to bite him. Those bats, we've seen them go cold at times, and then they get really hot. We saw them get really hot today on Sunday. Saturday, that was a tough loss, but overall, good momentum builder with this win on Sunday going into Indiana State next weekend.
Yeah, a couple of big innings for the Braves today, and of course runs were really hard to come by in the first 2 games of this series. So overall, I like the response, and anytime you can put 7 runs up on the board after only scoring 1 in the previous 2, that's a good sign of things to come in the future.
Let's kind of dive into that Friday game, Larry. You touched on Mitch Jansen. Again, 5 2/3 innings. He allows the 1 run, a solo homer. But again, he was really good. What did you see working for him?
What we've seen the last few times he's been out is that breaking ball. That's the biggest thing that I've noticed is he really works the eye levels of the hitters. He'll throw a high fastball, and then he'll drop the curveball down in the dirt, and then he'll throw a pitch inside, throw a pitch outside. He's got really good command of that curveball, and it really keeps the hitters off balance. And that's what we've seen from him in these recent weeks is he's looked really sharp with that at the right time at the end of the season.
Matt, the theme for the Bradley offense in that game, had runners in scoring position, just couldn't drive them in.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of those things that certainly anytime that you get runners in scoring position, you want to take advantage of that. And that's something that Bradley did a much better job of today. They got the bunts, and then you got guys coming up after that and driving in those runs. So struggled with it a bit with runners in scoring position Friday, but today I like that response from them.
Let's go to Saturday, and we'll touch on it quickly. Obviously a tough one for Bradley. There's a 1-1 game going in the 5th, and then a big outburst from Illinois State, Larry.
Yeah, the bullpen just couldn't get the job done. That happens. That happens some games, and it's just something that happens. You need to move on. You can't bring it into the next game, and they clearly didn't today. Like Matt said, a really good response, and the bullpen held them today. They gave up 2 runs in the 9th inning. However, solid outing all around.
And to Larry's point, Matt, we talk about the mindset after a tough loss on Saturday. When you come out Sunday and you have a lot of things going on, whether it's senior day, Mother's Day, how do you kind of keep your mind on the ball game?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question because it's tough to do that. You mentioned Mother's Day and Senior Day. There's a lot of emotions, but at the end of the day, I think the thing that matters the most is you got to go out and play the game that you've been playing all season long, and that's what Bradley, they found their groove today. So I thought they did a really good job of just kind of putting those distractions aside and playing their game.
So in the big picture now, you look at Bradley, they get their 30th win. It's the first time since the 90s that they've had consecutive 30-win seasons. When you kind of put that in perspective, Larry, what do you think that means to the program? And now with still more games to be played, how do you kind of measure that as an accomplishment with still more work to do?
When I spoke to Coach Dominguez after the game, we'll see the interview here shortly. That's one thing he touched on is this has been a really successful stretch in the program, if not the most successful 5-year stretch in the history of the Bradley program. So seasons like this and seasons like last season are going to be remembered for a long time, and it's monumental, really, just building a program, and then it helps you with recruiting. It helps you with, whether that be school spirit, getting people to the game, and all facets. It really helps the team and the program as a whole.
And Matt, we'll kind of finish up here. As you look at Bradley, you look at this series, you look at the body of work here at home, how do you kind of look at this team where they face off? And we'll talk more about this later as the broadcast goes on. Where do you kind of see them fitting in the big picture of the Valley tournament?
Yeah, I mean, right now they're kind of in that middle of the pack. They're about a game or so separated with Evansville. And I think there's a chance that they're going to end up playing Evansville in the first round of this tournament. So I think it's very important for them. Of course, they lost that series against Evansville. Wasn't a great weekend for them, but I think as we go along here later into the season, they've got a big series against Indiana State coming up. I think, as you go further along, that Indiana State series is going to be huge, and it'll be tough to play at Indiana State. This is it for the home side, but I think you just got to keep playing your game that you have been all season long, and hopefully get some good momentum going into the tournament.
And Larry, if Bradley's going to make a run, they're going to do it with pitching.
Agreed. And then the bats will back them up. We've seen their offense score the runs all year, but it's really been the pitching that's drove them. The three-man rotation with Jansen starting it off and then Goswine in the middle. And we saw Lund. We saw what he could do today. Didn't give up any runs. And so if they pitch to the best of their ability, winning is no problem. But it's up to those pitchers to set the tone.
Bradley entered the weekend third in the country in ERA with a 3.01 earned run average. One of the guys leading the charge is Mitch Jansen. He was 8th in the nation in ERA as of Friday. We sat down and talked to him a little earlier. Here's his thoughts.
All right, Larry Larson, Matt Harrington with our ace, the Bradley ace, Mitch Jansen. Mitch, after 2 rough games, how are you feeling individually, and how's the team feeling, would you say, in the locker room right now?
Right now we're feeling pretty good. It's tough. We know these guys are a good team. So to come out here, we have to win one. We want to stay in the top 4. And it's on senior day. Everyone has kind of a loose vibe today. So everyone, I think, is feeling just fine about, the whole situation and everything. So we're just looking to take this win into next week, Indiana State, and keep it rolling in the tournament.
Let's talk about Friday's performance for you. Of course, just the 1 run allowed. Unfortunately, it was a loss. But, did you feel pretty confident about your start on Friday?
Yeah, I did. This whole year for me has just been a confidence thing. Mm-hmm. So about halfway through last year is kind of just when I realized, hey, I'm going to throw the ball. Don't try to throw it exactly to a spot. Just kind of hit it in that general area. And as soon as that happened and that kind of clicked in my head is kind of when everything turned around for me. And then now it's just going out there and from the mental side, saying I'm going to beat you and going right at people.
Mm-hmm. Now, on a game like today, obviously you didn't pitch and you threw Friday. Can you take us through your routine on a day where, say, you're not pitching or not throwing?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot. I'll show up, same time as everybody else. We'll shag BP. I'll play a whole bunch of ping pong with whoever wants to play in there, and then that's about it. I'll sit in the dugout and eat peanuts and cheer them on. That's about all I got for days I'm not throwing.
Sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, it's good times.
Of course, the MVC tournament is coming up here in a couple of weeks. Is there anything you're going to do differently to prepare for that, or is that just kind of be the same mindset for you going into that?
It'll be the same mindset. There's going to be a little bit of difference, though, because of short rest. Mm-hmm. So when we're going to play Thursday this week, so I'll lose a day, and then maybe play Tuesday, so I'd lose another day after that. So in terms of preparation, physically I'll have to do a little things different during the week, but from a mental side of everything, I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing, and hopefully that works out.
Now, as a Friday starter, do you ever feel any pressure to go out there and get that first win of the series? Because it really sets the tone.
It does. No, I can't say that I've ever really felt pressure at the beginning of the year, just the nerves, more anxious, I guess, to get going. But now I'm kind of, that I had a routine going, I don't even really think about it, to be honest. It's just kind of one of those things. Once you're in a routine, it's just kind of natural.
Yeah.
And then final question, any final thoughts? Obviously this is emotional, I assume, because of the last home game. But, how can you sum up your time in Bradley?
Oh, it's been a fantastic time, with all the memories of here at Dozer, especially since I only live about 25 minutes away. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that I've been coming here ever since I was a little kid. Yeah. And now that it's over, I don't know. It's not over yet for me, so we still got a couple more weeks. But I'm sure it'll get real emotional when the season's actually over.
All right, and that wraps up our interview with Mitch Jansen. Mitch, thanks for your time.
Yep, thank you.
And congrats on a great Bradley career. Hopefully it keeps on going.
I hope so, too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we talked to Mitch Jansen, obviously, and he's had a great campaign here in 2019. What was your main takeaway from the interview, fellas?
Well, I would say that he's just confident. He's up there and he's calm, cool, and relaxed. And that's the biggest thing that you can see just even when you're talking to him is he's just relaxed. He's vibing, he's going with the flow. And he doesn't have any nerves. And we talked to him about being the Friday starter and being that ace, and he doesn't really feel any pressure from that.
Yeah, and exactly. I think that's what you want to see out of your ace is that confidence and that composure that you need to potentially make a deep run in the MVC tournament. And Mitch Jansen exactly has that, and you can tell there's no extra pressure at all on him.
We didn't talk to him about his piloting, but pilots, they tend to be calm and cool under pressure.
better be.
Exactly.
You better be.
So he's trying to fly this Bradley plane to the MVC championship.
Well done, Larry. That was A+ stuff from you there. That was reach for write a novel. Anyway, in all seriousness, though, how do you think those two things, do they go together at all? Do you think there's a correlation?
Yeah, I think there's a fine line. You don't want to be too confident, because if you go out there and you're too confident, then things could go really poorly. You have to address, and you have to know that your opposing team can always be a challenge to you, and he addressed that in the interview when he was talking about ISU. He knew they were a good team, but he also has to know that his stuff is good enough to beat any team, and he definitely knows that.
Yeah, and I mean, his numbers are among the best in the nation, too, and that's another thing that we talked about in the confidence. He knows he's one of those elite pitchers, but he's not getting too ahead of himself, and he knows exactly what it needs to be done to beat these teams.
We also talked to Elvis Dominguez after the win on Sunday. Here's what Elvis had to say again about the Bradley win and the series as a whole.
I'm Larry Larson here with Bradley head coach Elvis Dominguez. Coach, big win today after 2 tough losses. What are the adjustments coming into today's game?
Well, we basically, didn't play very well yesterday, and that's a good thing about baseball is you get there's always tomorrow. And we put ourselves right back into it. I mean, this was a big weekend for us. We had to come in here, and we were hoping to take 2 and have a chance to win the conference next weekend. It didn't go our way, but we did win today, and right now we're back in the thick of things. So it showed a lot of character for our guys. It showed a lot of heart. I mean, we had a lot of distractions, obviously, with senior day and everything else, and a kind of emotional day. But they came out, they played their hearts off. Sammy did an outstanding job on the mound. Brooksy came in and shut the door, and, I mean, we played a complete ball game.
Speaking of seniors, senior day today, how proud of you are you of your senior class?
Well, I mean, this senior class, this is the best 5-year stretch in the history of the program. I mean, we've been to regionals. I finished 2nd or 3rd in the conference. I've played for a championship for 4 straight years. What more can you say? I mean, it's a special group. For them to come in and another 30-win season, I mean, that's 4 out of 5 years. I mean, I can't say enough about them. They're definitely going to be missed, but the impact that they made on this program is tremendous.
Big series next weekend, as you mentioned, Indiana State. What's the game plan heading in there?
Well, I mean, obviously we were hoping to go in there under different circumstances, but now we're right back in the thick of things, and hopefully we can finish in the top 2 spots in the conference.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right.
So we listened to Elvis Dominguez there, and obviously, he's got the coach's answers going. He's laser focused. Your takeaways from talking to Elvis, you talked to him a lot this year. Both of you have. Your takeaways from his thoughts post-game.
I think the first thing I noticed was he was a little disappointed that they couldn't take 2 or 3 or sweep this series, because he mentioned they really wanted to go into this next weekend series at Indiana State with a chance to win the Valley title. But he said, you know what, that's baseball. You never know what can happen, and things don't work out the way you want them to all the time. So, he just kind of brushes it off. He's an experienced baseball guy. He knows how it works.
Yeah, and I think another point, too, is he made it clear that his guys were coming out to play baseball today and not worry about those other distractions like we talked about earlier. So I think from here it's just moving on from this series. You lost 2 of 3, oh well, but you get ready for Indiana State.
He talked a lot about the seniors, and obviously rightfully so. What is it about this bunch, from what you guys have gathered, that makes this bunch of seniors, and there were a lot of them today that were honored pregame, what makes them so special?
Honestly, it just might be that confidence. Going back to Mitch Jansen, is these guys are relaxed, but they're having fun at the same time. You see it in the dugout every single game. They're having fun, but they're also very relaxed. They don't really crack under pressure. The biggest pressure situations are coming up, though, in the playoffs, so we'll have to see those clutch situations. But that's my big takeaway, is seeing these guys on the field. They always know what to do with the ball. They always know how to do the little things. So that's what I think.
Yeah, and I think it's about that experience, too, accumulating over the time here at Bradley. And they're ready for this moment. They've been in it before. So I think this is just kind of another day at the ballpark for them.
All right, I'm Larry Larson here with Matt Harrington with J.F. Garan, senior J.F. Garan. Big win today on senior day. How's the team feeling? How are you feeling after this win?
Obviously a little emotional. last game here in career. Team's good. It was a good bounce back win. We're ready to roll to Indiana State next weekend, and feeling confident with conference tournament coming up. And yeah, just a great bounce back. They had a good team, but we showed character, and it was a good win on senior day.
Sure.
Let's talk about your performance today. You had that big bunt early on in this game. Did you feel that later brought in a run? Did you feel that was kind of like a turning point for you guys today?
Yeah, I mean, their third baseman made a great play on it. I thought I was going to get a hit out of it, but no, he made a great play on it. I just did my job, We work a lot on bunts, and it's part of my game, so just did my job, got the bunt down, and I'm glad we got on the roll after that.
Absolutely. Now, before today, you guys only scored the 1 run in 2 games. What adjustments did you guys make at the plate specifically for today's game?
Just keep swinging it. I think, as you said, we didn't score the first 2 games or just 1 run, but we barreled a few balls. We had good at bats. I mean, things didn't go our way sometimes, so we just stayed positive and kept swinging it, really.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about your season in general. At this point, you're kind of batting right around that 290 mark. Where would you rank this season among your others here at Bradley?
Wow, that's a hard question. I mean, I wouldn't say the stats are what I'm going to remember. Obviously, the friendships, the people, the coaches, everyone that's been with me throughout the 4 years. There's so many people I could name. But, every season here is fun. The coaches make it fun. My teammates, that's really what I'm going to remember is the people that I was around and the experiences that I got out of it.
Absolutely. Speaking on that, as a senior day, I'm sure you've reflected a lot. What's your favorite memory or some of your favorite memories as a Bradley Brave?
I would say the bus rides. All the people that I've played with the 4 years I was here. The bus rides are so much fun. Locker room wins after we win, just play music and have fun. But yeah, just the people and the relationships that I've created is really what I'm going to take away, definitely.
Sure. Let's talk about kind of your game day ritual. Is there anything specific that you do, like a pregame meal that you eat or something along those lines to get you ready for a big game?
Well, yeah, I make sure I eat, definitely. You don't want to play hungry. That definitely is bad. I would say I try to keep it simple. Really just get ready, warm up. I try to stay on the tight schedule. Me and Andy. Andy is my partner. We play catch together. We have since freshman year. So I would say 15 minutes before in and out, we go out and play catch. But besides that, no, not really. I just try to do the same thing every day on the same time schedule, so I know what I'm going to do next. And, yeah.
One last question, personal question. Does everybody call you JF, or does anybody call you Jean-Francois?
Only my mom uses the full name, especially when she's pissed. But no, I'd say pretty much everyone uses JF. Even my dad does. So it's just easier, yeah.
I'm sure. All right. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
so much.
Congrats on a great season. Good luck next weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Another day at the ballpark, and they'll have 3 in Terre Haute this upcoming weekend, starting Friday or starting Thursday. It's Thursday through Saturday series. This time around, as it is for everyone in the Valley. As we look ahead, this is a really good Indiana State bunch. Now, they've struggled this weekend with Dallas Baptist down in Texas, but still, not a team to be taken lightly, and they can pitch it, they can hit it. They're a complete team.
Yeah, this is always a team that's competitive in the Missouri Valley. And so when you see the Sycamores on your schedule, that's never something you take lightly. And to have them be the last series of the year, you could see that as a bad schedule. You could see that as a good schedule. You could see it as a thing where, you need to bring your best game to beat them going into the tournament.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like the MVC tournament starts a little bit early for Bradley. And this is a team that they're probably going to have to beat at some point to get where they want to be in the MVC tournament. So I think it's very important they just come out and play their game and stick with it just like they have.
Well, Matt, you touched on that there, that the postseason really starts on Thursday. And you're absolutely right, because of the new Valley tournament format. So 5 through 8, single elimination, and then you advance, get into the double elimination. When you look at the tournament format, how do you kind of approach this weekend looking ahead?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is that you're going to be in that tough environment in Indiana State. You're not at Dozer Park where you're used to playing every day. So I think the biggest thing is just pitching. We mentioned that. Larry, you touched on it, that pitching, if Bradley wants to go far, they're going to need to rely on their pitchers. And we talked with Mitch, too, about how this Thursday was going to be maybe a little bit different from other games. So I think just coming out and playing your game every day, and pitching will be certainly something that takes Bradley far.
Yeah, you know what they say is pitching and defense wins ball games, and you got to score runs, but pitching and defense is the foundation, it's the basis. So,
as we look towards the Valley tournament, we've seen pretty much everyone in some capacity, whether it's been here at Dozer Park or just watching ball games. Which teams stand out to you as Bradley's top competition?
that's a tough question. My gut always tells me to go with Dallas Baptist. They're the team down south. They're the big powerhouse in the conference. They're always up there. But you can't really count out any of these teams. Evansville can go out there and beat any team with their ace at the top of the rotation. And they've got some guys that get the job done. And then Missouri State's had a down year, but you can never sleep on them because they've been there before as well. So this is a pretty experienced conference when you look at it. You don't really want to take any opponent lightly. We've seen Bradley win and lose games against all these teams pretty much.
Yeah, I think for me, it's Dallas Baptist personally that Bradley probably wants to beat the most out of anyone in this field. But again, we talked about that diversity and how many, anybody can beat anyone on any given day. And so it's really important for Bradley to not take anybody too lightly and just kind of take it one game at a time.
So we talk strategy going into that Valley tournament there. We saw a lot of the sack bunts today from Bradley on Sunday as a way to maybe get the offense going, and it worked. The Bats got going today. They struck for 7 runs on 7 hits in that series finale. Is that something that's going to continue? Do you let the big boppers play as the season goes on? What do you guys see there?
Well, I think, again, we mentioned the pitching. As long as the pitching can keep doing what it's been doing all season long, I don't really see the need to play small ball so much because, Bradley has had games where they've put up 10-plus runs multiple times. And so we've seen that the hitting can be there as well. But pitching is certainly the way to go. But if need be, I think small ball may be the answer.
Yeah, that's one thing that Coach Elvis, he likes to do. We've seen it all year. He loves laying down the bunts, the hit and runs, all the little stuff. And that helps when you're in slumps. We've seen this offense get cold, but then again, they get very, very hot. Today we saw it again. They scored 1 run in 2 games and then had an outburst, semi-outburst today. And it started with bunts.
Started with the bunt, and the Valley tournament will essentially start on Thursday. Bradley battling for a top 4 seed. They'll play 3 in Terre Haute against Indiana State. So for Matt Harrington, for Larry Larson, I'm Cody Schindler. This has been the Braves Vision Series review. Bradley would fall to Illinois State as the Redbirds took 2 out of 3. Braves did win the finale on Sunday, 7-2. Thanks for joining us. This has been the Braves Vision Series review.